The film begins with a heart-pumping scene of police officers storming an abandoned hospital. Led by Detective Russell, the team navigates through the dark and eerie building, only to discover that their fellow officers have been brutally slaughtered. Amidst the chaos, a man, drenched in blood, emerges from the shadows and is immediately suspected to be the killer. The scene changes to the police station, where the man, who identifies himself as John Doe, is now in custody. Soon after, Russell interrogates him, demanding to know the truth behind the massacre. However, Russell is skeptical of his story and presses him for more information. After all, Russell was wondering how could John Doe be innocent when he was covered in blood and surrounded by corpses. Despite the mounting evidence against him, John Doe insists that he wants to help the police and requests to be taken to the station. At the police station, when he was being asked, John Doe responded by posing a philosophical question about forgiveness, causing Russell to immediately point the finger at him. However, upon reviewing the report, he discovered that John Doe had been found in the security room and questioned whether he was a security guard. Then, John Doe admitted that he was actually a night watchman. Curiosity piqued, Russell delved deeper, asking John Doe why he had taken the job. Then, he explained that he was in need of food and shelter and had heard on the radio that the hospital was hiring night watchmen, with free food and accommodations as payment. Upon arriving at the old hospital building, On met a man named Nam, who offered him a job as a night watchman. Shortly after, Nam escorted him to his room, where he was greeted by a peculiar woman named Archie. Soon after, Archie questioned On about his fighting abilities, to which he responded that he would fight if necessary, reflecting on his past experiences. Later that evening, On encountered a woman named Jeanette and her son, Phil. Then, Jeanette warned On about the hungry ghosts that haunted the building and thanked him for taking on the job. At dinner in the cafeteria, On met Nam again, who informed him of the mysterious disappearances of children in the building. Then, he gave On a necklace with a Hanuman carving, believing it would protect him from demons. Soon after, Jeanette and Phil joined them, and Nam revealed that she still held on to Phil tightly, traumatized by the loss of her neighbor's children at night. Long story short, On was tasked with ensuring the safety of the residents in the building. He noticed that each room had some sort of offering placed outside the door, believed to provide protection from harm. One day, while patrolling, On noticed someone behind the statue of Santa Maria and decided to investigate. As he approached the statue, he heard a voice whisper in his ear, warning him that the end of the world was near and that the statue could reveal his past. He remembered his violent past as a gang member. The following day, On, Nam, and Jeanette learned that another child had gone missing overnight. This surprised On since he had been on guard all night and was unaware of the incident. Nam was also taken aback that the police had finally taken notice, considering they had not shown any concern for the residents' safety before. Later, On started to feel sick due to a strange odor around him, but Nam and Jeanette didn't smell anything. That evening, On met with Jeanette in her room to inquire about the kidnapper's identity. Jeanette claimed to have no knowledge but had heard the name Mephisto mentioned. The scene then returned to the present, where Russell's expression changes as On drops Mephisto's name. To his surprise, On reveals that he also knows about the 4 horsemen, who are responsible for the recent kidnappings of children. These criminals plan to use the children's souls to bring about the end of the world. He explains that Mephisto abducts kids to fuel the growth of evil, and when the evil has become powerful enough, they will perform a ritual to hasten the apocalypse. Some believe that Mephisto and his gang are supernatural beings, but in reality, they are just ordinary humans like On and Russell. Then, On confesses that he's been taking them down one by one. Suddenly, the story flashes back to the past, where On is on his usual night patrol. As he looks at a photo of a missing child, a hand touches his shoulder, startling him. Despite his unease, On continues his patrol and makes his way down to the basement floor. There, he sees a tightly shut door. As he approaches it, the mysterious hand appears again and points towards the door, as if trying to tell him that something is behind it. However, at that moment, fear overtook On, causing him to retreat from the door. As he walked away, he caught sight of the kidnappers attempting to abduct another child. He fought back, but unfortunately, they overpowered him, stabbing and beating him without mercy. Meanwhile, Mephisto looked pleased to have yet another innocent victim. Then, he explained to his gang that these innocent children were the key to satisfying his hunger, and that their alliance with the devil would be complete once they had them. He boasted that as a horse rider, he would one day ride a wave of blood that would signal the end of the world. There, he stressed that they needed just 2 more children to achieve their twisted goal. Back at the old hospital, the residents find On gravely injured and unconscious. Shortly after, Nam asks Jeanette to use holy water to cleanse On's wounds before performing a mystical ritual to revive him from the brink of death. In his unconscious state, An finds himself in the presence of a terrifying creature. The creature informs him that his death is imminent, but instead of accepting his fate, An calls out to the creature. To everyone's surprise, Nam uses a ritual to transport An to a realm where this terrifying being resides, in a desperate bid to save his life. As An lay in a coma, he had an otherworldly encounter with a creature who revealed himself to be Hanuman. The deity gave An a second chance at life, but with a catch: he had to follow Hanuman's orders. However, Hanuman warned An that he would call him back when the time was right. After waking up from his coma, An was surprised to find that he had recovered completely, without a single scar. He sought out Nam, who revealed himself to be a believer in mystical powers. During their conversation, An experienced vivid hallucinations of his past, including a violent confrontation with his gang's boss. Nam then revealed to him that Hanuman had made his body his vessel on Earth, with the potential to control him. But Nam reassured An that Hanuman couldn't kill him. In the present, Russell remains skeptical of An's story about Mephisto and the missing children, dismissing it as nonsense and accusing An of being the kidnapper. But An vehemently denies this and challenges Russell to prove his allegations. In the past, An is on patrol when he meets Phil, who sees him as a strong and virtuous young man capable of protecting the residents. Then, Phil shares his mother's wisdom that one can discern a person's true character by closing their eyes and feeling their presence. When An tries this method, he hears Hanuman's voice once again, commanding him to kill Mephisto and the horsemen, or anyone who stands in his way. Long story short, in the middle of the night, the child kidnappers struck again. They used smoke to make people fall asleep and easily abducted children. Meanwhile, An was looking at himself in the mirror when he heard Hanuman's voice warning him of the impending kidnapping. An also sensed the distinct body odor of the kidnappers. When An confronted the kidnappers who were attempting to take Phil, a fierce fight ensued between An and one of Mephisto's henchmen. Despite being stabbed and seemingly dying, An was resurrected by Hanuman's divine power and continued to fight back against Mephisto's men. However, he was unable to save Phil, who had been taken by Mantis, another member of Mephisto's gang. At that moment, Jeanette was distraught after losing her son, while An was struggling with the fact that Hanuman was starting to control his soul. If he were to kill someone or shed blood, his soul would belong to Hanuman. Meanwhile, Phil was being held captive with the other abducted children. Mephisto only needed one more child to complete the Doomsday Creation ritual ceremony. That same night, his gang launched another kidnapping attempt. Once again, Hanuman whispered to An, urging him to kill them all. However, Mantis, who had previously eluded An's pursuit, informed Mephisto about the Night Guard's growing power. He explained that Hanuman had possessed An's soul and was becoming stronger. Hearing that, Mephisto agreed, stating that Hanuman had fused with An's body and would use it to manifest his physical form in order to stop the creation of the Doomsday. His new goal was to kill An so that the demon inside him would also perish. On the other hand, An, who was all alone, unexpectedly met Jeanette. He confided in her, admitting that he did not have much time left to live and needed to quickly give what was left of his soul to Hanuman. He explained his daring plan to lure out Mephisto's gang from their hiding place, which involved putting his life on the line. However, he made a promise to save the children, as long as Jeanette and the other building occupants followed his orders. Jeanette immediately rallied the other residents to hide in a secure room and agreed to stay put no matter what. Meanwhile, An shut off the electricity in the hospital, hoping to attract the attention of Mephisto's accomplices, who were notorious horse riders. Soon enough, the gang appeared and advanced towards An, ready to fight. Despite initially holding his own against the gang, An found himself struggling to keep up with Samuel, one of Mephisto's strongest henchmen. In a devastating turn of events, Samuel nearly killed An. Fortunately, Jeanette's unwavering determination prompted the other occupants to come to An's aid, and Samuel fled the scene. As he lay dying, An was forced to take a knife and commit suicide. With this drastic act, An was transported back to the world of Hanuman, where he could fully exchange his soul for the deity's power. Despite Hanuman's warning that this would mean his body and soul belonged to the god forever with no way back, An confidently agreed. He had no regard for his own life, as his top priority was to save the children who were kidnapped by Mephisto and take revenge against Mephisto and his gang. In exchange for his soul, Hanuman gave An a powerful magic stick and allowed him to return to Earth for the last time. With the stick in hand, An's body and soul were imbued with limitless strength. Meanwhile, Mephisto provided Samuel with a bottle of oil made from the corpse of a tragically deceased pregnant woman, which Mephisto burned until it became a potent weapon against the demon spirit inside An's body. As On stood before the statue of Santa Maria, he couldn't believe his own eyes. His body was miraculously clean and free of any wounds, despite the brutal fight he had just been in. Just then, Jeanette appeared, surprised to see him in such good condition. She informed him that they had pursued Samuel, but he had vanished into the basement through a secret door. Soon after, Jeanette knelt before the statue of Santa Maria, praying fervently for guidance. She told On that their prayers would lead them to the right path. Suddenly, it dawned on On that the mysterious hand that had been haunting him all along was, in fact, leading him to Mephisto and his gang's hideout. With a newfound sense of urgency, On rushed to the basement door, with the guiding hand pointing him in the right direction. He pushed the door open and plunged into the dark tunnel below. Shortly after, On face to face with Mephisto and his ruthless gang of kidnappers, known as the Horse Riders. Despite the odds stacked against him, On refused to back down and engaged in a fierce verbal exchange with Samuel. In a sudden twist of events, Mephisto attempted to flee the scene with the captive children in tow, but On's quick thinking and swift action with Hanuman's staff resulted in the death of one of the kidnappers, Mantis. However, their victory was short-lived as Samuel launched a brutal attack on On, leading to a long and grueling battle. Despite being pushed to the brink of defeat numerous times, On finally emerged victorious and succeeded in rescuing the innocent children from the clutches of their captors. Fast forward to the present, On recounted his heroic tale to Russell, who underestimated him because he had failed to apprehend Mephisto. There, he corrected Russell, revealing that Mephisto was, in fact, sitting right in front of them. Hearing that, Russell was offended by the accusation, but On stood his ground, stating that he recognized Russell's distinct smell, which he had first encountered during his encounter with Mephisto. As it turned out, he had intentionally allowed himself to be captured to reveal Mephisto's true identity, Russell himself. Meanwhile, Russell, now exposed as Mephisto, flew into a rage and attacked On, attempting to strangle him. But On remained calm and collected, reminding him of his mortality and his own divine nature as Hanuman, rendering his efforts futile. As Russell attempted to flee the scene, On swiftly hurled Hanuman's stick, trapping him inside the room. Without hesitation, he engaged in a lightning-fast battle with Russell, ultimately ending his life and revealing his true identity as the nefarious Mephisto. With his mission on Earth complete, On returned to the Hanuman world, forever trapped in his divine existence. The film ends. The moral lesson of this film is about the importance of education and acquiring a variety of skills to secure a stable job. It cautions against adopting a singular skill set, like On's fighting prowess, which led him to work in a perilous environment and ultimately cost him his life in vain.